The Philadelphia Eagles are still riding the high of being Super Bowl champions, but the Dynasty Destroyers already have some work back at the office as a couple key guys are leaving the staff. So what do the Birds do to address this inconsistency issue at offensive coordinator? Well, we'll talk about a couple of the main candidates that are up for the job, and I'll ultimately tell you who I believe the Eagles should bring on board. We'll talk about it all, but welcome into A to Z Philly. I'm RB. Do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel. We'll keep you covered all off season long. But it finally hit me. The Eagles are Super Bowl champions. They are on top of the world. Outside of that Tampa game earlier this year, they dominated everybody. Best team in Eagles history, best season in franchise history. And oh, by the way, they're not done yet. We'll get to that. But they are far and beyond the Dallas Cowboys. And Dak Prescott yesterday came out and said that the Cowboys are, quote, very close when asked about how they stack up against the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, I get he has to go out there and have confidence, but this right here is just pure denial. Come on, Dak, you know the drill. Jalen Hurts has a ring. You don't. This Eagles team is on the verge of being a dynasty potentially. The Cowboys can't win playoff games. Matter of fact, Jalen Hurts has 6 playoff wins since 2000. In the last couple years, the Cowboys have 4 playoff wins since 2000. Hurts was drafted in 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, it doesn't get better than that. And CeeDee Lamb admits that Eagle fans are more passionate than Cowboys fans. Quote, they're crazy. Our Cowboy fans are deep, but I don't want to say anything crazy, but yeah, the Eagles got it. So the Cowboys have never been down this bad, and it just makes my heart very warm that the Eagles are so much better than them. Anyway, this Eagles team is not done yet. As I said, Dynasty Destroyers. Well, Devontae Smith said during the Super Bowl he's looking forward to the next one, that they're not done yet. AJ said that he's not satisfied with a Super Bowl win. Hurts said he measures success in rings. Barkley said, why not build a dynasty? The best years are ahead. And also, in addition to that, a lot of these cool clips from NFL Films. Shout out to NFL Films. All these gems, man. I mean, Dallas Goedert said they'll be back. So many guys are ready to get back to work. And that's what I love about this team. They are not satisfied. No egos. They want to go back and work together. Now they got the tough one off their shoulders, but this team can be really good. They need a couple things in place, including consistency, especially for Jalen Hurts, who has been getting a lot of credit, and it is making me smile from head to toe, seeing this guy out there finally getting some of the credit he deserves. Jalen's a winner, man. And in the Super Bowl, Eagles were up 40-6. He still was not satisfied. He said, the fat lady's not going to sing until the clock hits 0. And you know what? He says, in response to Grant Calcaterra about cracking a smile, quote, I can't lie to you, bruv. The last Super Bowl changed my soul, man. That ish ain't ever over. Let's go, man. He said he's keeping the background the same on his phone. He's ready to win. And to do that, he's going to need an offensive coordinator to step in and do as good of a job as Kellen Moore did. So in the Super Bowl, Eagles up 27-0. This was my favorite clip that came out. Nick Sirianni tells Kellen, just call it. Dial it up. If we score, it's over. Jalen with one of the most beautiful balls ever to Devontae Smith, and that was like the icing on the cake. Kellen Moore, just an incredible job. Really unleashed the bag here in the playoffs. And unfortunately, Kellen Moore is headed to NOLA, or maybe staying there after the Super Bowl to be their next head coach. Do I think it's a good situation? Absolutely not. Can I blame him for taking a coaching job? No, because what has he been in, like 7 or 8 different interviews, hires, and you know, he can't ever land a job. So you have to take advantage of your value when it's at its peak. Do I think he could have returned for the Eagles and potentially got a better situation next year? Yes, but I'm not going to blame the guy. I thank him for his service. He was incredible. But now it starts to get tricky. As Anthony DeBonis says here, Eagles will go through the interview process, but I would be shocked if Kevin Patullo was not promoted to OC based on recent convos that I've had. I'd also expect Eagles quarterback coach Doug Nussmeier to be named the OC in New Orleans. So not only is Kellen Moore leaving, but quarterbacks coach Doug Nussmeier, who did an incredible job with Jalen Hurts this season, is now going to be on the way out as well, most likely. So what does that mean? Couple key guys on the staff have to be replaced. And what do the Eagles do? This is not a good sight. When you look at Jalen Hurts, dating back to college, he's now had 9 different offensive coordinators in 10 seasons. But if we just look at the NFL, he comes in 2020 with Doug. Then they bring in Shane Steichen for 2 seasons. Jalen Hurts makes the best leap of his career going from year 1 to year 2 with Shane Steichen, having that consistency and just, having those tendencies down and just learning different rhythms and things like that under different coordinators, right? Everybody has different schemes and concepts and really just an overall different philosophy. So after they go to the Super Bowl in 22, Steichen jumps ship for a head coaching position. Brian Johnson, who was the guy that knew Jalen, right? Going back to middle school, and he knew his father, and his father coached him, and he was big on him early. That was more of like the, hey, we're buddy, let me bring you in and let me promote you type of hire. Then that obviously burns to the ground. They bring in Kellen Moore, and now Jalen Hurts is going to have his 4th different coordinator in the last 4 seasons. To me, that's not good. You need to build consistency, but the Eagles are so damn good. So ultimately, I guess you have to decide, what do you want? Do you want to win the whole damn thing and then lose your guys, or do you want to just be mediocre? So anyway, the Philadelphia Eagles, as Anthony DeBonis says here, could also look into hiring Mike McCoy. Nick Sirianni worked under McCoy with the Chargers from 13 to 16. McCoy has experience as an OC and was most recently the Jaguars quarterback coach. And I want to go over to an article from Dave Zangaro, who does a great job breaking down the candidates here. And when I look at the Eagles, the biggest thing in question right now is, can they bring in a guy who's going to be able to build up consistency with Jalen Hurts, right? They could bring in Kevin Patullo. They could go with more of the buddy hire, kind of like they did with Brian Johnson. Maybe not exactly the same, but as it says here, Patullo was on the jet with Nick Sirianni when they first got to Philly. He's his right-hand man. I could absolutely see that happening. Matter of fact, I think that is the most realistic. But I would not be mad if they did exactly what they did this past season, go out of the box a little bit, and go look for more experience, okay? And here's a couple external candidates that I think would also be really good as well. The main one being here, Jim Caldwell. Now, I know he's 70 years old. In his first year as a head coach with the Indianapolis Colts, they went to the Super Bowl. Obviously, a lot of that prototype was built by Tony Dungy, who had just retired. But as it says here, if the Eagles want to find their Vic Fangio of the offense, an older coach who is not trying to climb the ladder, Caldwell could be a fit. He's been an assistant with the Panthers the last couple years, but he's a former head coach with the Lions and the Colts. He's been around the game a long time. The Eagles obviously need a play caller, right? These need to be in the conversations. Not only how do you build out schemes and concepts, but can you come in and kind of replicate what we did? Can you go through the ins and outs of an actual Sunday game, and not get out of character, not get too pass heavy, not get too run heavy, like really be able to adjust to any situation? Because again, as we saw from last year to this year, the Eagles have the talent, especially on offense, to go out there and win games, but they need a guy who's going to be adaptable. Kellen Moore did an amazing job with that, right? From the first 4 weeks, kind of restructuring the offense and just going run heavy first. So, Jim Caldwell, a guy who's been around the game, who has been around elite quarterbacks, I think that he could potentially come in and be a really good fit if they want to go on the outside. Another guy I like here is Gerard Johnson, obviously a lot younger, but as it says here, the Eagles interviewed him last year along with Kellen Moore and Cliff Kingsbury. So, he already has sort of an idea of what the Eagles are trying to do. It says he's sticking in Houston as the quarterback's coach even after they fired Bobby Slowick. But back to Johnson, while the Texans didn't have a great offensive year with C.J. Stroud regressing a bit, Johnson was intriguing enough for the Eagles to talk to him a year ago, so he needs to be on this list again. Mike LaFleur is a really creative mind, but as it says here, he's technically an offensive coordinator with the Rams, so I don't see him jumping ship there. I think he's very comfortable under Sean McVay, but very innovative mind, as we even saw in the playoffs as well. And then another guy I think that would be intriguing is Josh McCown, who, got a job right after he was done playing, had a very long career, journeyman. I mean, he stepped into that Seattle game in the playoffs, but Josh McCown is a very brilliant offensive mind. He's been around the game a lot. He was a quarterback's coach with the Panthers in 23, and then he was a quarterback's coach with the Vikings in 24. and he helped Sam Darnold have a really strong season before a playoff collapse. I think he would relate well to the quarterback situation. I think, I don't know if he's been here with any of the guys on this team, but he's a very relatable type of guy. He's very open and he's very smart. And then the last two here are interesting. Doug Peterson and Frank Reich. Cannot see either one of those happening. Imagine, Sirianni being the coordinator for Reich and then hiring him as his coordinator. And Doug Peterson, there's no way that Dougie P is coming back to be a coordinator. But overall, I think the Eagles need to prioritize somebody who can stay here at least for a couple years, just so Jalen Hurts doesn't have to continue to go through a new system. But it is really probably the most important decision of the offseason because, again, if you get the right play caller in here and you have this team running it back, there's absolutely no reason that they should not be able to go back to the Super Bowl. But I think the Eagles need to replicate as close as they can, maybe identical, what they did last offseason and try to get the right guy in here. Lastly, what a season for Saquon, man. Super Bowl champ, Offensive Player of the Year, single season record for rushing yards, including playoffs, joined the 2K club, reverse hurdled a man, 14 100-yard games, and 760-plus yard rushing touchdowns. Unbelievable season, man. One of the best all time. But the Eagles are Super Bowl champs, parade incoming, and we're still riding the high of it, man. Give me your thoughts down below. Who do you want to see as the next OC? Give me your thoughts. Appreciate everybody tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.